Every circle you have ever seen is wrong. The wheel, the coin, the full moon. Zoom in far enough and every single one is slightly off. A perfect circle has never existed, not once anywhere. And it gets worse. Take two sticks that are exactly the same length. Measure closely enough, they never are. You have never seen two perfectly equal things either. And yet, you know exactly what a perfect circle is. You know exactly what perfectly equal means. Engineers bet bridges on those two ideas every single day, and the bridges stand. So, here's the question that obsessed the smartest man in Athens. Where exactly did you meet the perfect circle? Because it wasn't in this world. The man who took that question seriously was born around 427 BC into one of the oldest aristocratic families in Athens. His real name, if you believe the ancient biographers, was Aristocles. Plato was a nickname from the wrestling ring. It means broad. The most influential thinker in Western history is basically named Wide Boy. He was supposed to go into politics. Instead, something happened in 399 BC that changed his life completely. Hold that date. He hid what happened inside his most famous story, and we'll find it there. What he did instead of politics, he founded a school on land sacred to a hero named Academos, the Academy. It ran for over 900 years. Rome rose and fell while this one school stayed open. And 24 centuries later, the philosopher Alfred North Whitehead looked at everything Europe had ever thought and summarized it in one line. All of Western philosophy, he said, is a series of footnotes to Plato. So what was the idea? Here it is, delivered with a completely straight face. Everything around you is a knockoff. Your chair, your dog, your face. This entire world is the dupes market. The originals are stored somewhere else. Somewhere, says Plato, there is a realm of forms. The chair, capital T, capital C. The one perfect, eternal, unchanging chair. Every chair down here is a wobbly, chipped, slowly collapsing copy. In his language, it participates in the form. And it's not just objects. Every beautiful thing you have ever seen is aging. Beauty itself doesn't. Every act of justice ever performed was a compromise. Justice itself is flawless. Every triangle you've drawn was crooked. The triangle never is. The copies decay. The originals can't. That's the whole theory. The world you can touch is the shadow. The world you can only think is the real one. Plato's own students immediately found the awkward question. Fine, there's a form of beauty, a form of justice. Is there a form of mud? A form of hair? A perfect, eternal, divine form of dirt, glowing in heaven? This exact question appears in Plato's own writing, and young Socrates squirms and refuses to answer it. Even the inventor found his own warehouse slightly embarrassing. And speaking of the warehouse, where is it? Nowhere, says Plato. Not a place. Beyond space, beyond time. Your eyes can't go, your hands can't go. Only your mind gets a visa, which sounds like the world's biggest cop-out, until he shows you the cave. Republic, Book 7. And this time you're in it. You've been chained in a cave since the day you were born. Legs fixed, neck fixed. You can only look at the wall in front of you. Behind you, a fire you've never seen. Between the fire and your back, people walk carrying statues and shapes, and the fire throws their shadows onto your wall. Those shadows are your whole world. You don't call them shadows, you call them things. You've named every one. You and the other prisoners study them, predict them. Plato adds a detail that hurts. You give each other prizes for being quickest to guess which shadow comes next. Shadow experts. Shadow influencers. There are careers down here. Now someone unchains you and drags you out. Plato is specific. Dragged, by force, up a steep, rough slope, because the light is agony, and you fight to go back to the comfortable dark. But your eyes adjust in stages. First you can look at shadows, ironically, then reflections in water, then things themselves, then the night sky, and finally, one day, you look directly at the sun. And you understand. Everything you ever knew was a shadow of a puppet of a copy of this. That's the theory in one picture. The cave is the world your senses show you. Outside is the realm of forms. The sun is the highest form, the good itself, the thing that makes all the rest visible. Your whole life until philosophy, says Plato, is spent grading shadows. But the story has a dark ending. You go back down. You have to. You can't leave them there. Your eyes, now used to sunlight, are useless in the dark. You stumble, And the prisoners, watching you trip over things they can navigate perfectly, reached the obvious conclusion: going up destroyed his eyesight. And then Plato writes the coldest sentence in the whole book: if anyone tried to unchain them and drag them up, and they could get their hands on him, they would kill him. Remember that sentence. That's where 399 BC is hiding. But first, the strangest wing of the theory. If your senses have never once seen the originals, how does your mind know them? Where did you get the perfect circle? Plato's answer is genuinely wild. You were born with it. Learning, he says, is not acquiring anything. Learning is remembering. He called it anamnesis. Your soul saw the forms before birth, and education is just jogging its memory. And instead of arguing for this, he staged a demo. In a dialogue called Meno, a rich man is grilling Socrates, and at one point tells him, "You're like a torpedo fish, the electric ray. Everyone who touches you goes numb," which might be the best description of talking to a philosopher ever recorded. Socrates' response: he calls over an enslaved boy who has never studied a day of geometry and asks him questions, only questions. Double the size of this square. The boy answers instantly, easy, double the sides. He's confident. He's wrong, that makes it 4 times bigger. And here's the beautiful part. Through nothing but questions, the boy discovers he's wrong, gets genuinely stuck, the numbness again, and then, still only answering questions, finds the real solution. Build the new square on the diagonal, a real geometric proof, out of a boy who was never taught. Socrates turns to Meno. I taught him nothing. He remembered it. The knowledge was in there the whole time. Is that actually how learning works? Almost certainly not. Is it the most flattering theory of education ever proposed? Absolutely. You've never been ignorant in your life. You're just forgetful. Now the twist, and I think it's the most honest moment in the history of philosophy. The strongest attack on the theory of forms ever written was written by Plato. Late in his life, in a dialogue called Parmenides, he lines up his life's work and takes a swing at it. Follow the logic. Why do we need a form of largeness? Because all the large things must share one thing in common. Fine, but now count again. The form of largeness is itself large, so the form plus all the large things make a new group of large things. What do they share? A second higher form of largeness, which creates a third group, which needs a fourth form. Forms behind forms behind forms, all the way up forever. Philosophers call it the third man argument. It's an infinite regress, and it is devastating. Here's the part scholars still fight about. Plato never answers it, not in that dialogue, not in any dialogue. He found the crack in his own cathedral, published it, and left it in the wall. Bertrand Russell called it one of the most remarkable cases of self-criticism in the history of thought. His best student decided the crack was fatal. Aristotle spent 20 years inside the academy learning everything Plato had, and then said words to this effect: Plato is dear to me, but truth is dearer still. His fix: the forms are real, but there is no second realm. The form of a thing lives inside the thing. Hoarseness is in horses. There's nowhere else for it to be. If you want to see this argument, it's hanging in the Vatican, Raphael's School of Athens, Plato and Aristotle walking side by side. Plato points up to the realm of forms. Aristotle holds his palm down toward the ground, toward the world. 2,400 years of philosophy compressed into 2 hand gestures. And now that date, 399 BC. Plato's teacher was Socrates, the man who wandered Athens asking people to define the things they claimed to know: justice, courage, piety. The city put him on trial for it, corrupting the youth, disrespecting the gods, and made him drink hemlock. Plato was in his late 20s. He watched the wisest man he knew be executed by majority vote. Now reread The Cave. A man climbs out, sees the truth, comes back to help, and the prisoners kill him. The allegory of the cave was never a thought experiment, it's a eulogy. So, who won, Plato or Aristotle? Here's the strange part. It's 24 centuries later, and we still haven't decided. The very word idea? That's Plato's word, eidos. He coined the vocabulary you think with. When Christianity needed a philosophy, Augustine took the forms and moved them into the mind of God. Perfect, eternal ideas. one level up. Plato, baptized. Ask working mathematicians today whether math is invented or discovered, and a remarkable number will say discovered. That we're exploring a perfect timeless realm that no one has ever seen. There's a name for that position. It's called Platonism. Practicing scientists, 2,400 years later, are card-carrying cave escapees. And every story you've ever loved where the hero discovers the world is a lie, the simulation, the dream, the show, all of it is the cave with better special effects. A series of footnotes to Plato. Whitehead wasn't joking. But forget the philosophers. Here's why the theory won't die in you. Every time you call something not quite right, a job, an apartment, a relationship, a Tuesday, you are comparing it against a perfect version you have never seen anywhere. Every time you say the world should be more fair, you're measuring it against a justice no one has ever met. And that ideal version of yourself you keep failing to become. It exists in no city, on no date, at no address. You navigate by it anyway. Plato's realm might not be real, but you live like it is. You have still never seen a perfect circle. But the moment I said it, you knew exactly what I meant. Welcome out of the cave. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this one, give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.